Hi, I'm Steve Owens and welcome to Steve's Kitchen. Throughout January we're doing classic Australian dishes and nothing's more iconic than the Lamington. It's a cake from Australia. It came from Queensland originally. I'm going to be making a twist on that cake today. We're going to be making a cake pop Lamington. So let's get on. Now, ordinarily with Lamingtons, you'd make a sponge cake first, but because I'm doing cake pops, I'm going to take some old sponge cake or sponge cake that's left over from a cake I made, and we're just going to crumb this down. Now, my cake crumb there is light, you'll notice, because I've trimmed the brown edges off, because traditionally a Lamington is light in colour. I've probably got about half an 8-inch round, and that's nice and fine now. We're just going to take some buttercream icing. I take about a tablespoon at a time, not too much. We don't want this to be too greasy. And now we use our hands just to rub the butter icing into the cake mix until it starts to form balls and bind together. Now I kept adding the buttercream until I've still got this crumbly texture, but if you look, it starts to clump together. And this can vary a lot depending on how dry the cake was. I put about 4 tablespoons in there. Now the next stage is to take our cake pop mixture, and we just want to take a piece in our hands, not too big. I like to make these about a mouthful size. So about 30 grams or a little bit under an ounce. And we're just going to roll these now into a little ball. And I'm just going to pop these down on a baking tray with some greaseproof paper and just carry on making as many of these as I can. Now, because these cake pops are a little different than a chocolate coated cake pop, we're actually putting a frosting on this rather than a chocolate. I want these to be really firm before we actually start to coat them. So I'm going to put the sticks in first, and then we need to chill them right down, either in the freezer or in the fridge for a good hour to make sure they're nice and firm. Now, whilst our Lamingtons are firming up in the fridge, we can make our chocolate frosting or coating for the Lamingtons. Now, I've got 250 grams, that's 8 ounces of confectionery sugar or icing sugar, powdered sugar, whatever you like to call it. I've got 40 grams, that's about 1.5 ounces of cocoa, that's unsweetened cocoa. We're just going to pop that in there. I've also got 40 grams, that's 1.5 ounces of melted butter. That's a soft butter. I'm using salted butter here, but you could use unsalted, it really doesn't matter. And then I'm putting in 3 tablespoons of very warm milk. This milk here has been heated up, and I'm just going to pop 3 tablespoons in there. Whole milk, half and half, whatever you choose. And then we're just going to mix this together until we get a lovely smooth frosting. So we're going to end up with a really thick frosting like this. Now that's a little bit different than normal Lamingtons because we're putting these on a cake pop. You don't want it to run off of the spoon when you hold it on the side like that. So now we're ready to construct our Lamingtons. I've got my cake pops nice and cold out of the fridge. I've got some desiccated coconut. You can use the fine or the coarse, it doesn't matter. And our chocolate sauce, of course, which is now going to go into the microwave for about 30 seconds because I need this to be runny for coating the cake pops. So there I've made my chocolate sauce a lot runnier by just warming it through. I'm now going to take one of my cake pops and just dip it in there. And I'm going to pull the sauce up using a spoon just to coat the whole cake pop. And then we just need to pull it out and just let the excess chocolate frosting drop off. And because the cake pops are cold, that frosting starts to get firm very quickly. We can now take it over to our desiccated coconut, and we want to be dipping it in and just rolling it around to let the coconut soak into the chocolate. Get your hands in there as well and get it all around the top. And there is our Lamington all covered in coconut. And I've got a little stand here with some holes in. I'm going to pop that in there and just let it set. They can go in the fridge just to cool down once you've made them. So I'll get on now and do the rest of these cake pops and I'll show you the results. Now once your Lamingtons have cooled like mine have here, and you could, if you haven't got a stand like this, you can just put them onto a plate. Once they actually cool down, they're pretty easy to handle. They're not sticky anymore. You can just lay them out. Now let's give one of these a try. I'll take this one off the end here. Well, here goes. Chocolate and coconut. What a great combination. Excuse me. And guys, look at that. It just looks like a Lamington on a stick. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you're going to try this at home. I'd love to hear your comments down below. Share the love. Give this a thumbs up. Take care. I'll see you next time. And don't forget, all this January, I'm doing a series of Australian foods, so stay tuned for those. I'll leave a couple of links here to some of those videos, and please subscribe to the channel. Stay in touch. Be good. See you next time.